Well, good day, folks. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist, here on 15. No, I keep doing it. Someday I'm going to learn. I am currently in the podcast layer, and I am part of a family of podcasters, Delusions, Kingdom Talk, The Brain Lady, and I'm thrilled to be here. And someday I'm going to learn how to re-say it, or say that correctly. Anyway, should be a lot of fun. I have a close friend of Adam Schiff on today. She happens to also be running for Congress up near Sacramento, kind of the north part of Sacramento. Welcome, Christine Bish.
Everybody out there, we're going to have a lot of fun today.
I hope so. And you love being introduced as a close personal friend of Adam Schiff?
He might argue with that, but I'm okay. You know what they say about keeping your friends close and your enemies closer?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, a true friend would be pointing out to him all of his flaws, right?
Exactly. Dude, what are you thinking? Mm-hmm. You know, I'll give you this advice for free, but you're paying some high-paid lawyers to tell you to shut up. And he won't, so...
Well, that's kind of a blessing that he won't.
Yes.
Let him keep burying himself.
Oh, yeah. It's fun to watch.
Absolutely. Now, I kind of described your district. It's a fairly small district for California. Isn't it?
Yes,
Basically
it is.
just, does it include like Rio Linda? Does it go all the way over to Roseville, or define it for me?
Well, currently it is strictly Sacramento County.
Okay.
So it goes from the airport, the Sacramento airport. It runs along the Placer County line, takes me all the way over to Rio Linda. So we've got Alberta and Natomas, and then we go down. We lose just a little bit of Sacramento County at the top, but we go down to Rancho Cordova. But we include the airport, the old McClellan Air Force Base, the old Mather Air Force Base, and then we go back up above the river.
Okay.
So it's the north and northeast part of Sacramento County.
Got it. So the majority of it would be north of the Sacramento River?
Correct.
Okay. I have family up there. I spent a lot of time up there. So while they're not in Sacramento, they're farther north. I'm fairly familiar. A lot of good folks up there.
You know what? This is a great area. I've lived all over the country and chose to make Sacramento home. Every place between California, New York, New Jersey, Texas, Utah, Oklahoma, all over.
Well, by living in a variety of places, I think what it does for people is it makes them appreciative of just how special this country is.
Oh, yeah.
And it's crazy to me how so many of my friends on the left have decided that this is a horrible country. And yet they won't leave. And yet people are basically sneaking their way in to get here any way they can.
Yes. Well, you know, it's not that horrible.
No, I'd say we are blessed. And I hope that we get back to the point where not only are we blessed, but we bless God by having a righteous country.
Well, they want to bring their flags from whatever country they hail from and fly them here, but demand the rights that are afforded citizens. Just go home.
Only the people that come illegally do that.
Exactly. So
the people that come the right way are some of the best citizens there are. They appreciate their freedom and being able to define their own destiny.
Well, and that's the great melting pot. And I just got a note here that I forgot I have another appointment.
Okay, so what does that do to your time?
That means I have like 10 minutes.
Okay, I will finish up. Why are you running for Congress?
Why am I running for Congress? Because I am tired of waiting for somebody else to do it. We all sit around the table. Everybody does this, whether you're at a restaurant or at the kitchen or sitting in the living room or the backyard. I wish somebody would do this. Why doesn't somebody run who believes what I believe? Well, at some point you have to put up or shut up. So I decided to run so I could get the things that are important to me, important to my friends, my family, my community. We've got kids in California graduating, and they're adult kids, some of them, graduating high school with they've got 30% math or reading proficiency and 20% math.
Oh, another way to put that is some of them are graduating and they only have a 4th grade reading level.
Exactly. But they're putting them in college. Then they're pushing back saying that we can't have the H1N1 visas because, the truth is we do not have the students that have the education to do the work. And we have done this to ourselves by dumbing down education. Children need to be learning math, reading, art, history, real history, science to prepare them for the jobs. But I can tell you, every kid coming out of school knows what their pronouns are.
Yes, they
They
do.
don't need that.
So what
They
do you
need a classic education. And that's where we find out what people are good at. And not everybody needs to go to college. That's where those shop classes in. I remember taking wood shop and electronics and all those, and it rounded me out as an individual.
For me, it was Future Farmers, and we did a little bit of everything to do with livestock, because our chapter was really focused on livestock more than anything else.
And here I'm in the Sacramento area. We have UC Davis, one of the biggest ag universities in the country,
with a lot of great programs when you get to ag.
And if you can't read, what's the point of going to college other than incurring debt so they can pay their liberal teachers and liberal staff to let Antifa on the campus and let the cops watch them? Because we have that video as well.
Yeah. What are your if you're elected, what are your top 3 priorities? And I want you to be elected. I've met your opponent and the incumbent, and no.
Top 3. Number 1, we have to get this economy moving. We have got to. I'm behind firing these people at the Fed because they're dragging down housing. We've got builders coming in. We've got a lot of construction here, but it's hard for people to move. It's hard for people to leave those super low interest rates. So if you've got an interest rate below 3% or even,
I'm below
4%, you can't move.
Right.
You can't upsize. It's just you can't leave it. So the only way to do this is we've got to get those interest rates back down that get people where they're willing to move up to the next house, to the bigger house, and clear up some of that other inventory, people that are waiting to go, because you can only add on so much. And we see a migration in California. The migration here is amazing. People are leaving LA. Mm-hmm. They're leaving San Francisco, because the truth is, regardless of your political persuasion, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or really just don't want to be bothered with either one, you don't want to drink recycled toilet water. You want your kids going to newer schools, and you don't want to be there where the crime is rampant and you're putting bars on your window. Who are the prisoners supposed to be? The bad guys out there doing the crimes, not you locking yourself in your house. We have got to make those changes, and it's not going to happen at the local level. We have to do this from Washington, D.C., and I understand we have states' rights. I am in favor of it. I respect it. But the truth is, the power of the purse, the federal money that comes to law enforcement, that comes to building developments, that comes to education, you name it. It's starting at the federal government. All elections are local. Mm-hmm. And locally, I need you to pick me so that I can go to Washington, D.C. and do what Northern California needs. And that brings us to water. We're seeing water diverted. The Delta smelt is the excuse for diverting the water.
Yes, but
the truth is, it is because Sacramento, we have a sealed sewer system, but we have open storm drains. When you get to San Francisco, all the way down to Santa Cruz, that water, that sewage water, goes right into the ocean. And if they don't use the water intended for farming, it's used to flush the raw sewage out into the ocean. We need investment in infrastructure so that they are recycling more of that toilet water so the people who decide to stay do stay. And if they like chunky water, that's on them.
Well, it's interesting that the most blue areas in California, LA, San Francisco, that's the places that they're fleeing from the most. That should tell you something, folks.
Yes. Yes.
So you mentioned stimulating the economy. For me, It's always crime, though I don't know where you're at with crime. I seems to be a lot of homeless and crime when I go up to Sacramento. I go up and shop the antique show at Arco Arena.
Yes.
Or former Arco Arena.
Now it's a parking lot under construction.
Called Sleep Train Arena, but there's really no arena.
They tore it down.
Right.
They tore it down.
Yep. Rather than try to retrofit it somehow.
Exactly. They tore it down. They're building a hospital.
Well, hopefully something good comes of that.
Something good comes of it.
So where are you at with crime? What do we do? Because California's out of control.
I have to go right now. Can we pick this up tomorrow?
How about this? Give me your campaign information, and then I know you got to go, and I'll continue from there.
Go to bishforcongress.com, BISH4congress.com, and you can find me on social media.
All right. Well, I wish you the best, and we'll have to continue with this at another time.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, folks. Unfortunately, that didn't work out quite the way we planned. There was some scheduling errors, but it's all right. I like this lady. Have researched her a bit. I get that this is not in my area, but it's California. One of the things that I desperately wanted to get her take on is what she thought of Prop 50. Prop 50 is basically Gavin Newsom's scheme to change all the districting. Now, sounds like no big deal. He says, well, I'm doing this in response to what Texas is doing. What Texas did with redistricting, yes, there was some gerrymandering there, yes, but Texas was ordered by the Department of Justice to change and redo their districts. They thought, meaning the Department of Justice at the time was run by the Biden administration, and they thought there was no chance that Biden was going to lose, which means either they were clueless or they thoroughly believed that their puppet was operating on all cylinders, meaning Joe Biden. So they were ordered to fix it, Texas was, by the courts. Gavin then used as an excuse, and I think for a couple reasons, he used that as an excuse to, well, we're going to redistrict California. One of those reasons is when you raise money for a proposition, the money's kind of unlimited. For instance, George Soros, he kind of looks like the evil emperor from Star Wars. And he behaves a lot like it, doesn't believe in law and order. Well, he's donated $10 million to the yes on Prop 50, this redistricting scheme. But Gavin did this to draw attention to himself because he wants to run for president. If you watch him on social media, he doesn't talk about California problems anymore. He ignores California that he's in charge of, and he spends all of his time basically reacting to Trump. Almost as if Gavin has TDS. No, it couldn't be. Those unlimited funds that he can raise, now, if they don't all get spent on Prop 50, I'm betting Gavin's finding a way to use them for himself because, let's face it, Gavin always takes care of Gavin. He didn't care about the people of California. He takes care of Gavin. Now, one of the problems, not only do I consider this to be a corrupt scheme, but California now twice through the initiative process. Interesting that he's using the initiative process once again, but twice we have voted for an independent redistricting commission. That independent redistricting commission, meaning the politicians are not the ones deciding what the lines are. That independent redistricting commission draws the lines. So in theory, there's no gerrymandering. Now, Is there always some manipulation, no matter whether the Republicans are in charge, the Democrats? Yeah, there's always some. But I think the idea of a independent redistricting commission makes a lot more sense. And what Gavin wants is to be able to pick the lines. So if he knew that he needed to win a district, he would do something like, and if you look at his current plan, he might split up the city of Lodi, which is a reasonably conservative little town. Not that little anymore. I think it's about 150,000 people. Sorry if I'm getting my numbers wrong on Lodi, but I know they're splitting Lodi up if this goes through into 3 districts. You literally, there's one spot where you could stand on a corner, take a few steps in any direction, and be in any one of 3 congressional districts. Now, again, why would that matter? It matters if they're not kind of communities of interest. So it makes sense. You can figure out who your congressman is. It matters because they're, and I thoroughly believe Gavin will do this because I think he is all about power. He's truly power hungry. I hope he never sees the presidency. If you can pick, and you know you need 60% Democrats in a district to be safe, you could do something like draw this crazy line and incorporate part of the Bay Area with, say, Lodi. And in this independent map, they do things like follow freeways.
Yeah.
You know, places where there's absolutely no population to help draw the line to connect 2 communities that make no sense. What do you think of this one, Producer Phil?
First of all, it just, can you imagine a referee deciding the play of the game and picking the score before the game starts? That's kind of what it is right now. What's happening here? It's a scam. What do you call them? New scum, but new scam.
New scam.
Okay.
I like that better than new scum because he's definitely old money scum. He's not new scum.
Yeah, he's been running for president for how many years now? He's been anointed for
at least since he ran for lieutenant governor, which would be almost 16 years.
Yes,
15 and a half, somewhere right in there.
Everything has been posturing for this moment. He just is that shake him with the shoulders thing, and it reminds me of like a slick used car salesman. Nothing against if you're cars out there.
Don't insult used car salesman. That's a legitimate job.
Yeah,
Newsom's like much worse than that, but he does have great jazz hands.
Yes, between him and Tim Walz, I mean, they could be doing the Spirit Fingers dance or whatever. I don't know what they do, but this is overreach beyond. This is different from Texas. This is
very different from Texas.
Yeah, and you know more of that than me, but yeah.
Well, this is a crazy one. So if you're not registered to vote, anybody that's listening, please get registered to vote. And then we need to vote no. Here's the thing about not voting. Somebody's always going to decide. And the left, they seem to be pretty motivated because they're run by emotion. And Gavin Newsom is couching this in the terms of, well, I'm fighting against, I'm saving democracy. Yeah. Gavin even had the nerve to say, we're not going to have an election in 2028. He didn't believe there was. The presidential position that he's running for, that we're somehow not going to have an election.
And he attacks Trump, saying he's basically gaslighting him, right? He's going to run for another 3rd term. Mm-hmm. But
Trump's had a lot of fun messing with people.
He's trolling them, yeah. I love it. I love it. He tries to be a Trumpian, is that the word? And try to do the things, this magic recipe to try to get the same results as Trump, and he can't outdo it. Did you see his hat? He tried to have a red hat to kind of try to troll Trump, but it's just as young people, I work with youth a lot, and they say, well, that's just very cringe. Yeah.
Well, it's because Trump is, whether you like him or not, he's real.
Authentic, yeah.
Yeah, he's authentic. And Gavin is somebody that so desperately wants power that he will say and do anything. He's a chameleon.
I would say he's a transformer, like Decepticons. You talked about that. You were an antique dealer.
Yes, absolutely a transformer. And definitely not a regular one, but a Decepticon.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's maybe we're getting a little geeky here, aren't we? People don't know, may not know, but Mr. Eric Rollins is an antique, as he mentioned earlier. But one of my favorite spots to go to in his antique store is all the action figures of Transformers and other things there. But hey,
well, we have some fun.
Yeah, it's the podcast. You could talk about whatever you want now.
Agreed. It's kind of ironic that Gavin is talking about all this censorship.
Yeah.
And yet on
Very
his
good.
desk right now is a bill passed by both the state Senate and the state Assembly that is a censorship bill. It's basically a ministry of truth for Democrats.
Yeah. It's man, it reminds me of like the Hunger Games, just they want to censor think, and the way they do that is censor speech. Mm-hmm. Somebody else's hate speech is somebody else's opinion. It's like, no, you can't. This is way slippery slope. This is a mega slippery slope.
Right. Well, basically it's set up where individuals can be fined and media companies, for instance, TikTok, True Social, Facebook, X. I know there's a bunch more. We don't have to go through all of them.
Yeah.
They can be fined if they don't remove whatever it is that the government says. At the same time, he is actually signed into law and given, I think it was $10 million, which isn't a huge amount of money when we're talking at California state level. He gave $10 million, though, to have a basically government-funded media for California.
Yeah.
And yet he's saying everybody else wants to censor. He wants the state to control the media, and he wants state laws. Now, we'll see whether he signs it, but I'm betting Gavin has done something very consistent the entire time I've paid attention to him, and that's called the wrong thing for the people. He's done the wrong thing.
Horrible instincts. His instincts are backwards. There's these platforms. I think they're trying. There's publishers and there's platforms, and they're trying to. If you make a platform, a publisher, they could censor everything, and they try to disguise it as like we're against hate speech, we're against misinformation, disinformation.
Who decides?
Exactly. And so, and pretty soon, maybe you might be on America's Most Wanted because the Constitutionalists.
Well, I might have occasionally posted things like Gavin Newsom equals corruption.
Uh-oh.
I think I'm in deep trouble.
Yep.
And I don't have a lot of money, so they can try to get blood out of a turnip, and they can make my life difficult, but I'm positive that there is an army of lawyers that would be happy to help me fight against the government if this kind of tyranny sees the light of day. So part of me is like, please, Gavin, do the right thing. And part of me is like, Gavin, please do the wrong thing because I want your political ambitions to be destroyed. Notice, I said political ambitions. I'm not like the left. I don't want him hurt.
Yeah.
I want him to go away. Like in a perfect world, he'd never be able to speak
Politically,
again.
yeah.
Yeah, I want him to go away politically.
Yes.
I don't want him to actually be hurt, but how about he loses his voice and can't speak ever again? That would help the world.
Wow. That's a good one right there. But I will say there's been a win with free speech because YouTube, supposedly they're going to reinstate a lot of channels and conservatives that maybe they were shadow banned or canceled. They're going to bring them back. What do you think about that?
I sure hope that happens. I know that I have been, when I was with I can't say employer because I always paid for it, but when I was with a different group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And most of the history of this show has been with that other group. I did things like talked about my opinion on abortion, never called for violence, just said that I considered abortion, especially late term, to be murder. And then I made the point of, because I was talking to a district attorney candidate, I made the point, there's a difference between morality and the law. Never called for any violence in any way, shape, or form, just gave my opinion, and it was a way to illustrate the difference between those two things.
Yeah.
And YouTube kicked everybody off, suspended everybody for what we get. Did we get 30 days or 60 days that time? I think it was 60 days.
Wow. That was you?
That was me.
I just kidding. Troublemaker. Well, I'm rooting for. I texted a good friend of ours, Mr. Josh of Oreo Express.
Oh, folks, you need to check out Josh of Oreo Express. He's all over, mostly X.
Everywhere.
You can find him in other places, but that's where he's the biggest.
So I texted him, "Hey, getting your channel back," and so he, so I'm praying for you. But yeah, he's hoping. I won't say what he's doing, but
he's a patriot and a local hero.
Yes, definitely.
I don't know that we have time to get into this very much, but I want to mention a book that I think every conservative should read. It's called Who Really Cares by Arthur C. Brooks. It talks about essentially charity. And there were some conclusions from it. He looked at all of these studies about charity and how the United States is one of the most charitable. Actually, we are the most charitable. But then he looked at, well, who's actually charitable within all of the United States? And what he found is the more religious you were, whether you're on the right or the left, the right being slightly more charitable on average than somebody that's on the left that's equally religious, because he rated how religious they were. He looked at economic class. And what really mattered was how much of a believer you were. That was the number one thing. The other thing is he spent a bunch of time looking at, and his contention from this book was the reason we were such a successful country is because we spend all this time on charity. Essentially, the act of helping lift others up out of poverty, to put them on the right path, to help them, you end up helping yourself. I think if anybody's done any volunteer work, you begin to realize you're helping yourself. My producer here, he's a worship pastor.
Worship leader right now.
Worship leader. Okay.
Right now. Yeah.
Hey, that's still a big step. But you spend a lot of time trying to help others. How does it, we're down to about 2 minutes, but in a short version, how does that change your life?
Well, the Bible talks about is more blessed to give than to receive. So it's the nature of God that has instilled in us that it is better for us to give back to the community, not just always be takers. What happens when you become takers? You start being selfish, build pride, and the fruit of that does not bear great fruit. And if you reap what you sow, you better start planting some things in some hearts so that bear some good fruit.
So essentially, the act of giving,
yes,
in non-religious language, the act of giving changes who you are and allows for possibilities that weren't even there. It makes you thankful and grateful for the blessings you have.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So we find out, you yourself as a giver, you go out there in the community, you give back here in the program, you try and shine a light. Like Tucker talked to, was it Elon Musk when he did his quote, but I love that quote about the light and the dark.
Oh, yes.
That's a great quote, but that's what we're doing our little part, to be out there with a message of that brings and inspires people. And I think right now, all these bills that are coming across the desk of Gavin Newsom, we got to not just pray, we got to have action and really try to sway this vote.
Amen. So that's a definite no on Prop 50.
Okay.
And that's coming up, folks. Turn your ballots in right away. Talk to your friends. Talk to your family. Be the light. Make a difference in your community. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist, coming to you from the podcast layer.